Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Valagar Aloevain. Alright, so for this video, we're picking up right where we left off, coming out of the quest here, the claw, and we're gonna head on to our next quest. So from here, uh, again, if you're wondering how to get to this point, you can watch the other video there for that quest, and it'll lead you right to that. Basically, quick story, you hug the left wall. Alright, so from this point, we want to head over to those mushrooms right ahead of us. Alright, so if we hug kind of towards the left here as well, we'll actually see a little hollow. In there, there can be a named creature. There is also a crest. Now, if you're not sure what these crests are, again, check out that other video and kind of go more into depth. But there are 3 out here in the Slayer, which are used for a rare encounter. So the crest will be somewhere in this location, in these mud pits. And if we go just a little bit farther in, we should also get an explorer. Unless I got it already and just didn't realize. Apparently I did not. So yeah, somewhere in here, there's the crest over there. So I can pick it up now, however, once I step into the quest, it will drop out of my inventory. So there really isn't much of a point, unless you're going for that rare, to bother stopping and picking them all up.
Liquid mud boils up from the earth below,
There we
flooding
go.
the area. Perhaps this is the source of the strange mud creatures that inhabit the swamp.
Alright, so from the little mud hollow, we're actually going to walk up this kind of little hill right here. And the objective is to use these mushrooms
A forest of huge mushrooms reaches up to the sky.
to traverse up to the
toadstools
ziggurat
have
there.
grown to a gigantic size, feeding on the rich swamp soil.
Once here, you just want to make a left and follow the little path on the ziggurat all the way up to the very top. So just take a moment for us to actually reach that top. While we are running, let's pull out our hireling so we're ready to go. There can also be a named creature at the very top here as well. Alright, so here we are.
It's clear the fish people are trying to find something inside the ancient structure.
And sadly, no name for us. So the quest itself is just this hole. So we're going to step in and start summoning our hireling.
Giant magical barriers enclose this space, and the area beyond the barriers is filled with
Alright.
seawater. The Sahagin have made themselves at home inside this ruin.
So this quest is kind of interesting, and you'll get to see why. Basically, the barrier is holding back all the water. Later on, the barrier drops. So, yeah. First thing first, we gotta talk to Foxpaw. And he's just gonna give you a little bit of information about the quest. Mostly, the item we're looking for is at the end. As well, there are some captives. Please save them for essentially drowning them. The captive optional is, well, just that at one, it's an optional. But the captives are all along the way, so it's not too hard to get it. At the same time, they're also easily missed. So they have generally similar locations every time, though it is semi-randomized. So that I'd rather not tangle with. Alright. So they like to kind of hide around the corners at the bottom of these steps. So another set of steps. And here they are, or starting a couple of them. You do have to find a decent amount, so 7 total. But again, they're all on your path. None of them you gotta really go out of the way. And actually, there really isn't much of an out of the way to go. Yet at this point, anyway. Now, as you'll see, we do have some fungus that are kind of higher up on ledges. Now, if you can jump up and get close enough, you can obviously collect them. If not, don't worry about that. The water level will rise. Though when it does, it will no longer be a collectible style, but it'll be something else that you can click on.
The bodies of dead Raven-eyed slaves litter the floor. The Sahuagin are cruel taskmasters in war.
Alright, so as you see, once we arrive at that specific Sahuagin, he then raises the dead, well, the zombies here that we've been walking past. And yeah, so just be prepared for a little bit more than you might have been thinking. Once we get to the end, pull our lever. And we can head back to our other door to continue on. Now these drown type creatures, as you notice, they do take a little bit less fire damage. If you are using electric type damage, they actually take increased damage. So lightning casters have some fun. And actually the very last quest of this chain is really nice for lightning casters as well. Alright, so as you see here, we do split off. I'm gonna head left, which actually takes us to the start area, just on the kind of the upper floor. Or not the start area, the room with all the zombies that we were just in. And we do have a couple of shrines. As well, I want to make note of the chest there in the corner. We'll be able to get that later. If you do happen to have like abundant step or anything like that, you would be able to jump over there and obtain that chest now. But generally that's for the epic version of this quest. Alright, so we want to continue north. Couple more captives. Grab my rem. Alright, and let's continue down the hall. So this one again, small chest. Again, slightly out of reach. If you have abundant step, you can grab it now. You also might be able to jump up and reach the ledge here, so just give me one moment. Just gonna make sure everything is clear. Grab our captive. We still got jump for another 50 seconds here. So from this ledge, you might be able to actually jump up and grab, though it doesn't look like I'm having any luck. Oh, there we go. And then we can hop up. Again, nothing special from this chest, and you can always come back once the water level has risen. A little bit of lag. A lot of bit of lag. Alright. Until we finally reach this room. Now, at this point, if you haven't gotten all your slaves, it's kind of a past point. So it does look like I got one more slave in here. So we must have missed one there somewhere. Now, I won't be going back, but I can show you the amount of XP. So it's about 1,000 experience, so it's not too big, but it's still not too bad either. And the reason being is as soon as we pull that lever, it drops the barrier and floods the room. You will no longer be able to save any of the captives there at that point, as they do drown. Before you pull the lever as well, make sure you grab your chest. Alright, so here we are pulling the lever.
The magic barriers vanish, releasing a wall of water.
And there it is. So from here, we actually have a couple of exits in the room. We can attempt to head back up this way, though the pressure is pushing us backwards. So it is very difficult.
Makes it impossible to swim against the current here. The rushing water makes it
if you can get far enough in, you can sometimes make it past. However, the intended direction is south this way. Now, heading south, you will now actually start to run into some traps. Not here, but just a little bit up. Okay, so these traps, if I run into them at all, there we go. They're generally posted, if you see the little marking underneath, it generally points out where those traps are. So if you see the marking, just watch yourself. As well, just, you know, make sure you have someone who can search them. They are completely avoidable, just, and for that, in case of that one, just swim underneath. Alright, so this point, up the stairs again on the right, we have a lever and a secret door. The lever will control the gate there, which we do need in order to progress. But we have kind of a little optional area behind the lever, which has just a few skeletons here. And, you know, a couple other undead and will-o-wisps. So nothing too major. No optional creatures, like no orange named creatures or anything like that. But it does still give us a couple of creatures as well as a chest. Now the chest is locked, so if you don't have anybody to pick, not a lot of reason. And the chest itself doesn't actually have any named loot inside. Just a little bit of lag apparently. Alright, so continuing north, we have now the Sog Shadow Moss Patches, which if you watched our Necropolis 2 video, the one with the swim, you'll notice that these ones do give water breathing, though they can only be given to one member of the party at a time. So because I clicked that, if I was with another person, they would not be able to also click it to also gain water breathing. Unlike many collectibles, which every person in the party can grab at least one. Alright, so here we are back in this room. And you might not recognize it, but down at the bottom, that's where we first encountered those zombies. Here's those shrines. And the chest that we couldn't get at the time is just here. We can now just swim over, grab that, and continue on. So there are two directions that we can take in here. We can head back under the water here. And that'll just kind of lead us backwards, as well as able to get you some of the traps and that other chest there that was hidden before. Or we can continue heading south in the which is southeast corner, and we will come across a few more traps. Here's first trap box. And again, there's the trap and the little symbol underneath it. And then there's the symbol again. So just watch yourselves. There we go. Alright, so we get out of the water here for a little bit. At this point, it becomes, for me, a little bit more annoying. We start running into some water elementals. And though they're not too bad, they can hit hard, especially if they end up being champions. I know I myself have been taken out by them more times than I'd like to admit, but I mean, hey, it happens. Alright, and up here to our left or west, we have a set of shrines and a lever. The lever again controls the door, which allows us to progress. So again, top of the first set of stairs, we have a ladder going south, path heading north. Up the ladder, we don't really have anything. Just a couple of breakables. We can actually just use the ladder to walk across the top, or vice versa. But you do need to head north.
At the bottom of the stairs, a group of angry Sahagin menace Foxpaw the Shaman.
So this room here, this is actually where we originally entered the quest, right there. So another trick for this one here, when you're making your way through, if you actually have access to the Dimension Door spell, it would have teleported us right back to this room, avoiding us to walk around the halls. Though you do miss out on getting those extra couple of traps, which brought us up to Tamper, but we'll be able to raise that just a little bit more here. Alright. Once we clear the enemies, we're going to be able to head up to Foxpaw, which is in the southeastern corner here. And just talk to him, he'll let you know about the planar fetter again. And then we can continue heading east. Now, we're actually getting towards the end of the quest here, and I'll explain the end fight before we actually get started, as there's a couple extra stuff in there as well. So here's the end fight. We can actually target some of these enemies, killing them now, before we actually progress anywhere into the room. Now, the benefit of doing this is, if we look in that platform that the purple Swahagan or pink Swahagan is on there, in the back right hand corner there is a trap box. So while they're, initializing themselves and getting ready for the fight, you can run up and grab that trap box. Another thing to point out, you won't be able to see it from here, but that pile of mud kind of right there, a little bit further over, there's going to spawn in a named Mudman, and he's also part of the end fight.
In the chamber ahead,
so we're going to run ahead.
Sifts through the remains of a smashed container.
We're going to grab that trap box. There we go. Which brings us actually all the way up to our ingenious debilitation there. So there's our first guy. Once he dies, we also got our big Mucklord to deal with. And if you're wondering what this trap box itself does, around this edge wall, like the wall here, so there's one there, trap box there. Basically, it has a whole bunch of sonic jets around the outside edge. Alright, so we look to be done, and the quest itself is completed. However, we actually have a small little part left over. So the first thing in here, to the north, we have a small little drop down, which has a lever. And what this lever does is it opens up the gate right there, which also has a chest, which this chest is here is for the end fight. It's not too bad. It's not that great, but it's not too bad. Alright, so continuing on there, we actually have a treasure vault and a treasure guardian. Now this part is 100% optional, as obviously the quest is already completed. And in my opinion, a little bit more difficult than the end boss. For one major reason here, and I'll show you once we get in. So when you get in,
treasure guardian relentlessly patrols this massive chamber, made invincible by the muck flowing in through the walls.
Alright, so basically there's the muck, and it's a giant cube. Which is, there he is, who is currently impenetrable to damage. Now, in order to make it so that he can be hurt, I'm just gonna give myself a top up here. What we need to do is we need to step on these little runes on the ground. As we step on them, the light will go out. The difficult part is, as he steps on them, they will light back up. So you gotta kind of be a little bit quick. Lighting, just turning him off. He's not the quickest guy, but again, he turns them back on. So there he is. So all these outside ones are off. There it goes in the center. So there he is as he's turning them back on. Just sneak in here and turn these ones off. So once you get most of them off, it becomes a game of following him, trying to get that last one off. There he goes.
The treasure guardian is no longer able to feed.
Now, as you can see, got a lot of hit points. There's also some air jets in here, which do make things slightly difficult, but it's not too bad. Ultimately, it's kind of a run-around game. Try to run around. There are jets in the corners there pointing both east and west. That obviously you do want to avoid, especially if he is chasing you. You don't want to be blown into him there. Now, there used to be a stuck spot for him, which I'll show you once we're done here. They have since gone back and fixed it, not a stuck spot per se, but a safe spot would be the apt word there. Alright, so once he dies, he drops a chest. Inside the chest itself is just a key. but the key is used up at the top to actually unlock the doors there for the chest. So the safe spot actually used to be any of the corners here. As these ones had air jets, the safe corner was these ones were like right here or here. As you can see, we can't actually fully get into the corner anymore. And the reason for that is because his hitbox was so large, you can get in the corner, but he was always out of aggro range, like melee range, so he couldn't actually get to you. Um, so the key unlocks the door here, and another thing they've added is this chest on the outside edge. Because of the nature of where it spawns the chest, sometimes when you kill him, the chest can spawn inside of the wall. Obviously, that would make it so that you couldn't loot the key in order to actually loot the optional chest. Because of that fact, once he dies, not only does he drop the chest down there, but it'll also spawn this one here, which will allow you to make sure you get at least one key to get inside our treasure room. And again, we have some loot in here. Alright, well that's it for the Fathom of the Depths. Hope you guys enjoyed this quest, and we're going to pick up in the next one right on the exit there. So, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys later. Have a good one all.